Hi, I'm Dr. Brandie, and we're here for Pregnancy Pain Sucks. I brought an expert with pregnancy pain sucking, unfortunately, but also this is Sarah Bond. So Sarah's going to tell you a little bit more about her. She's one of my best friends, and we meet very often for different dates. We're going to talk about that today of how to build a community around yourself if you don't have a community and you're an expert with that. So tell them a little bit about you.
Sure.
Yep.
So I met Brandie probably a decade ago.
Yep.
Ish, when I was pregnant with my second child, and she had already been a client. She worked with me because I am the founder and CEO of Family Focused Media. I publish Mainline Parent, Philadelphia Family, and Bucks County Parent. And these brands were created with the express mission to building community. And that was because when I was a new mom, I was just desperate to like find and build my village around me. But when I took Dr. Brandie from being a client and an advertiser with Mainline Parent to I became her client because I literally couldn't climb up my stairs. I was in so much pain from my pregnancy with my lower back, and with regular chiropractic care, she got me back on my road bike.
Yay!
Like riding 23 miles, well hydrated, but like, you know, really athletic pregnancy, and to a fully natural birth through life cycle wellness. And
but it was really bad.
It was really bad. I used to like limp and cry to your office.
And talk about that a little bit, because you sort of have your life under control. Like, you're a powerhouse. You were like, you were building a community at the time, and you were building this brand and this magazine.
Yes.
It was all new to you, and you had a second baby. And then what happened with that? Like, it's like all of a sudden you think you can do it, and then you do it.
Yeah. I had never had chiropractic care before my pregnancies. And when I got hit with that pain in my lower back, it just felt like somebody was stabbing a knife.
It's awful.
Into my lower hip. And I couldn't walk up a dune to like go lie on the beach. I couldn't sit. I couldn't think. And really felt like everything was just kind of going dark, and it was just really scary.
Yeah, because you can't do the things you need to do.
And it was, it's why I refer people to you all the time, because you were just a magic worker when it comes to gentle, strategic chiropractic care to like, you know, move the muscles and the bones as they want to go. And it's amazing how that can just alleviate the incredible pain that can go with pregnancy to be something that's really beautiful and empowering. And, you know, that's what I really feel like my whole pregnancy journey was at the end of it. But it was like empowering.
It's supposed to empower women, which is what your brand does. Like, empowers women, business owners.
Definitely.
We'll talk about that a little bit. But how did you find, like, when somebody told you to go to a chiropractor, how did you feel about that the first time, since you had never gone?
Oh, so nobody told me. I had definitely been YouTubing about pregnancy. And once I read the book Active Birth, it's an old book, but it really got me interested in natural. And I found like videos online from the birth center about like their whole philosophy and working with midwifery care model. And so when I heard about, you know, babies can be breached and flipped around early in my pregnancy, I might not have even been pregnant yet. And I was just kind of like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see her chiropractor. It just made so much sense. And everything from like the birth position too, like how it's portrayed in movies and TV shows, and how it just
being the provider,
authentic that is. And just from time doing yoga, like, and knowing how my pelvis and my tailbone tilt, like, of course that would change the experience. So all that just really made sense. And so when I was just like doing research, I found out about like chiropractic care and how like babies can just flip on their own when things are aligned and you sort of have space for them. So I knew that chiropractic care was an option, but it took me a few providers to find you.
What was different? Can you speak to that? That's a smack talk, because everybody's different for everybody.
It's fine. I think that some were kind of afraid, though. They said they had a specialty in pregnancy care. Like, they didn't actually feel comfortable doing much more than showing me a couple of stretches and giving me an ice bath while I lied on their table. And then I would go get a prenatal massage, and I would get up and feel exactly as I felt when I lied down. And then others, you know, like I had one chiropractor who I just felt like was a little bit too rough. It was just, it felt like it was moving too quickly, and I was worried. And then later on I would have like feeling contractions or something, you know, whether that was just kind of my own anxiety. It just made me very nervous because I'd gone through a whole infertility journey to get pregnant. So it was really, really, really important that I stay.
Like, we just did some videos about how that's important to have a good relationship with your provider and feel like you can give that.
Definitely.
Yeah, good.
I mean, when I worked with you, I think from the very beginning, I was very upfront about the fact that I was looking for something really gentle and like really subtle. And it was sort of like a consent-oriented adjustment.
Yes, yeah.
And
it's a dance. It's like whatever the patient's meeting you where you're at, because everybody's different. Yeah.
And the fact that I could just every week just make more and more progress until I was back on my road bike with my knees bumping into my belly. Like, yeah,
I'm cry. That's awesome.
yeah. I'm client for life. And I have been delighted that my kids are now 12 and 14.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've continued to come back and see you for, you know, various things, you know, when I'm strength training or like if I get like an injury, you know, like right now I have a little thing in my shoulder and like even when I like broke my foot, like you're the provider that I call, you are someone that I trust. And I know that I can get advice, even if you're advising me to go see other people.
Absolutely. And you do the same thing with your brand. So do you want to talk a little bit? So I've been using Sarah in terms of advertising and help she host workshops for business. So she's doing the same thing that she talked about in my book. You wrote a chapter in my book.
Yeah.
And it talked about building community, but you do that now on a bigger scale, like, you know, like with businesses. So you want to talk a little bit more about that, of how you build a community with people as somebody, maybe we're talking to a mom that sort of feels isolated.
Absolutely.
And she's in pain and you don't feel good about yourself. How did you?
Yeah. So when I first started my business, it started as a Facebook group and I invited the 2 moms on my street and 2 moms that I met in prenatal yoga. And overnight, I think that I had a title in it that was like Mainline Moms or something like that. And that's what eventually became the Mainline Parent Community Group. And
huge.
yeah, it's over 36,000 people now, and there's hundreds of posts and hundreds of responses today. It's a highly trusted resource for parents and for local parents in particular. But that all started because I was literally a mom with a baby on my arm, like with the, you know, the carrier, spotting them in coffee shops with babies of their own and saying, hey, do you want to have coffee?
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to you should join my Facebook group. It's a place for us to connect. And I just, you know, that became a village building. And then I also started hosting events because I needed village. I needed an excuse so I would say, hey, it's Mom's Night Out or Mom's Coffee, or, you know, I was just trying to build that village. And inevitably a dozen strangers would show up at these small scale events that I just promoted through my little Facebook group and word of mouth. And people would come knowing no one and leave with deep friendships that they developed that I know today, you know,
That's
15 years later. So
Yeah.
that was just so great. And so having a background in marketing, I knew that this was an incredible audience and a community that I could build. So it was very self-serving in terms of, I was like, okay, I'm going to find friends and be able to get trustworthy referrals for sources that I need, because that's the village I want. But then I also, I built a WordPress website. I started an email newsletter, and I made those events more consistent and started planning my first large scale one, which we called Mom's Night Out for Mother's Day, where we raised $5,000 for the birth center, where I'd had a really empowering experience. And that was my point of launching the print magazine.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
I originally wrote to you from Facebook. I'm quirky. You're both quirky a little bit. But I wrote to Sarah because I was like, I've got your magazine. And I'm like, holy snap, this is my brand. I didn't even say, hi, how are you? I'm Brandie. I was like, holy shit, this is my brand. But I think your magazine and everything that you put out is so emotive. I love National Geographic, where you can emote things. The way that your copy is and the way that you reach people, you can tell you really care about people and really care about, you talked about the quality of experience, or that it's trusted, but even the way that your magazine, there's a vibe. Sort of like with my chiropractic office, there's a vibe. There's a vibe. So how do you create that vibe of, that is all you? I know you very personally now and deeply, and that's evolved. How do you capture that vibe to throw it into your brand so it becomes an entity on its own?
Oh, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Well, I think that as a creative person, I am constantly looking for new things that inspire me, and that's a part of my drive. And I don't know, I think that I have played a heavy hand in the look and feel, and know what it has to do to me. Because if it's not beautiful, if it's not something that I would kind of consider art, I like to think of it as my informative art. That's my job.
It's so you. And it's I think it's not uppity at all. We live on the main line.
Yeah.
But it's approachable, and I find it very aspirational. And you evolve. I love your stuff, but it's evolved into even stuff with both of us, in terms of it's both us are really important with the LGBTQ community, of including that and including everybody. Same thing with the practice. And sometimes that's cost us some clients and sometimes that's cost us some sponsors, but everybody's sort of accepted and welcome in your world and my world.
It's definitely, it's very, very important to me. And it has been since the beginning of our magazines. And so that we create an inclusive and safe space for every family, whether there's two moms with two dads, you know, non-binary people, if they have different skin colors, different religions coming together, the intolerance is unacceptable.
Me too, girl, me too. But I think that goes with both of our brands of like, we're a safe haven. Like you're a trusted brand. It's very important. So I love that.
Yeah. Anyone I work with, you know, I have some inclusivity sort of standards that we sort of put forward. And yes, I have sort of let people go and sort of discontinue my relationship when I felt that they weren't a safe place that I could recommend, because that's the scariest thing as a parent is taking your kid into an environment, particularly if they're a little different.
Yeah.
You know, if they're not neurotypical or if they're
spicy.
Yes. And, you know, to have people who are going to respect them as human beings
and see the beauty in them, because there's beauty in imperfection. Yeah, at least I'm going with that. So we're going to talk a little bit about how much I admire what I brought you here for. You're like, surprise. You're like, I have no idea why I'm here. But one thing that I've learned from you is to put intention. I think both of us are CEOs, and it's very easy to fall in love and get wrapped up with your brand and your people that work for you and work alongside you. To put intentional female friendships, it's sometimes hard, because I find that I've had difficulty having friendships with women only because I don't know what the difficulty was, but I also didn't make intentional time in scheduling that. So was it 2 years ago, we scheduled a white dog world tour.
Yeah.
Every white dog they had in the area we wanted to get to. But
and then we did terrain.
Yeah, we did terrain world tour.
Yeah.
But fun stuff like that. Can you speak to that? You do a great job with being intentional about your friendships and pouring back.
Yeah. So you alluded earlier to the fact that I've sort of like taken this like building community concept that I was really driven to as a new mom. And I've applied that to business owners and in particular to women in business and women nonprofit leaders. And it's sort of the next generation. Like, what am I getting out of my business? Because when my kids were out of the preschool stage and on to elementary school, and you know, now they're teenagers and a tween, so their needs have changed so dramatically, and my role as their parent has changed a lot. But finding myself and get my own joy and my own fulfillment from my work, so much of that has come from deepening my business relationships to become friendships. And in fact, like that first lunch that I was like, we need to do lunch, you got together with Meredith Murphy.
Acupuncture. She'll be on this. Yeah.
And I saw your post on Facebook. I was like, Brandie and I should be friends. And I just was like, we need to like get out of the conversations where we're talking about marketing, getting out of like, okay, I'm just here for an adjustment, getting a little 2-minute chat with
friendly.
Yes.
But I think in July of 2023, it got real. It got like, stop BSing ourselves. Not that either one of us are fake, but I think being a business owner, it's hard to be transparent and honest how hard it is. With
gotta keep your professional, you know,
we had that professional.
Yeah, we both did, because we were each other's clients.
Yes,
I think that real. I've gotten so much more out of our relationship by just being honest, and we just check in with each other. We text each other, and you know,
cheer each other on.
Being honest about hard things,
very hard things,
family and running businesses, like has really been rewarding.
Yes.
You know,
I think nobody talks about the hard stuff about owning a business and how tough it is to let people go or have people quit on you or having negative feedback from vendors or whatever. Like, I don't think anybody is brave enough sometimes to show that, and to have somebody that's a safe place, which I found in you, is really nice. We have fun, but like we talk about deep stuff. And it's just when I leave having coffee or lunch with you, I always feel better about myself that like somebody else is like your spirit animal. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're just both driven, but we both really care about people. I think that is something that I love about our friendship, but it's intentional. I think for anybody who's watching that's having difficulty not having friends,
that's the hardest.
Yeah, I don't think they realize you have to put effort into it. Just like a marriage, just like any relationships, you have to be intentional if that's what you want to build relationships. And you provided stuff. So you have an upcoming event that's coming up for women of influence. I won that last year with a number of wonderful women, and it was such a great event. First of all, it was stunningly beautiful, and it will be held at
Terrain. So we're going to have 2 of them this year. Yeah. We have one on September 25th at Terrain Devon, and then October 15th at Terrain Del Val, which is over in Doylestown area. And the whole idea is that we are inviting women who are leaders in their community, whether they are entrepreneurs, business leaders, nonprofit leaders, or just volunteers in their community to come and be a part of this. We're looking for people who are positive culture shapers who
I love that.
want to have an impact and who want to find connection and uplift others.
Yeah.
Because that making friends as a woman entrepreneur, as just an adult, is very hard.
Yeah.
And doing it through your kids is like one way, but those relationships can also be superficial in other ways. Yeah. So I've really gotten so much out of networking at women only events. And so, it's called the Women of Influence Luncheon.
Yeah, yours is so much different. I just feel like, because a lot of these networking events I hate. I used to hide in the bathrooms while those speakers started. It's a little known fact that I would hide in the bathroom. But like, I just found them to be like high school, where it was like catty and superfluous, and just like people would talk about it. I think the focus of yours is being around women that are changing the world individually, like our friend Maria. Well, you referred me to Maria. Maria Rossi won last year, and she is a personal trainer, but she's so much more. She really changes the way that you feel about yourself. And I think that's the commonality I saw with all the women, is they're trying to change the world, just like you're trying to change the world, just by bringing people together, but also highlighting what's beautiful about people. And that's why I wanted you here today, because I think you need to intentionally do, if you want more of that, you've got to be the change you see in the world. You have to see it. So if you are interested in seeing a lot of powerful women, please come if you're local to the area, in the mainline area. Is there still tickets available?
There are, but the mainline one, the one in Devon, is close to selling out. Yeah. So that will be soon, but the October one, there's still probably more time.
Come hang with us.
Yeah.
The food was banging. It was great.
Yeah. Terrain does such a wonderful job with this beautiful event space. And it's a really great place to make connections with people who are interested.
They're very real people.
Yeah, I think of it as bringing together some of my favorite women.
Yes.
And just trying to get them to meet each other. Yeah. Like, hey, go meet her. I'm like gagging people across the room while trying to host. And I'm really looking forward to this. This is actually an event that I wanted to host pretty much from when I started my business back in 2010, 2011. I was like, I want to have a women networking event, and I always felt like I couldn't make time for it. I couldn't prioritize it. And also, I really felt like an imposter, because when people looked at my beautiful magazine or the things that we published in the magazine in particular, because it's very expensive, it's very high quality paper that we invested in. And, so much of my work in those days was completely break even. Like I was not paying myself. And when people would tell me I was so successful, I was like, oh, thank you. And like, they don't know. I'm not. But 2 years ago, or rather last year, I decided that, well, this is the year I'm going to make it happen. And it really exceeded my expectations. So that's why this year we're doing 2 events. Yeah.
So what would be your advice to somebody that's at home, that's struggling, that sort of like feels all alone, that don't have any friends? Like, what would be some action stuff, like 3 action steps you could give them to help them develop their tribe or until their battery?
So getting out of your house is number one. Like, you've got to find places to go where you're going to make connections, even if that is, if you're a new mom in a coffee shop and you're making the rounds to coffee shops with your baby and look for other moms. Going to classes that involve little one and you, or prenatal classes, was another way that I made connections. In some of those circumstances, I found it like difficult to, remember names. And so I right away, if you like trade numbers with them or ask, are they on any social media platforms? Because getting people like that sort of into your feed and you into theirs, that you can just sort of like form soft like relationships and build trust just by sort of celebrating their milestones, whatever they share on their social media. So this is one of the things that I think social media is for good. It has a lot of detractors and, being an attention grabber and distractor from important things in our lives, but it also can really help you develop and deepen your relationship.
Yeah. I think doing that in front of your kids as they grow, like, you've done a great job. It was so great to watch your daughter and your mom at the event last year.
Yeah.
Just see them see you doing things that you love. I think that's important, is to get into stuff. You're a great role model for that with the sailing that you just did.
Thank you.
I think it's important for you to live your life and find things that bring you joy, right? And then find other people who love to do this. That's my best advice.
I'm a joy.
Peace and joy, love. You have the thing for the house, like peace, love, and joy.
Yeah. The other recommendation that I would have would just give some consideration to things that you're interested in, and like dive into new hobbies, particularly when it involves, some sort of coaching or education or ongoing, like something that you could put on your calendar as a habit that you can. So I signed up for like dance lessons because I always wanted to be a dancer and started going weekly and, built out my tribe in the dance community a little bit over, and it was like a weekly therapy session for me that I could laugh and, make missteps and, as they say, tango on.
Yeah, tango on. Yeah. Talk about being uncomfortable a little bit with that. Like in terms of like, it was uncomfortable.
Oh
right?
my goodness. I used to just refer to my big elbows because I felt so uncoordinated and awkward. But, finding the right people to work with, they make you feel great and they help you laugh and keep going. So I really deepened my interest in dancing and in working out. I worked with Maria Rossi as my coach and she was, life-changing and continues to be. I'm finally back on her schedule for like weekly. I'm like, okay, forever Wednesday at noon. That's my spot with Maria.
Yeah. So that would be like our advice is finding your tribe. So even if you don't resonate with somebody, keep looking because for Marie, it's like Marie was gay. I thought, oh, she's a trainer. She's not a trainer. She really encourages you to like dress different, be different, and find yourself. In that. So just find your tribe of people that lift you up. That'd be the best advice. So I'm Dr. Brandie. Again, this is Pregnancy Pain Sucks. Sarah, thank you so much for being here. But we hope that you go out and meet a friend this week or get out of the house or develop joy within yourself to find more friends that are doing the things that you're doing just like we have. So I hope you have a friendship like we have. It's been really good to evolve and like grow. So
yeah, don't be afraid to just introduce yourself, take a risk. And invite,
Facebook somebody tell me what they're making.
Invite them to lunch.
Yeah.
We should have lunch sometime.
Yeah.
Let's have coffee. And then it's just, you make it a regular thing.
Yeah. Make sure that you're reciprocating because it's always, I'm shy. So
I am too. So that's okay.
But thank you so much for being here. I hope somebody finds some value of like how to actually build a community. You don't have one. So build your own community.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.